One last thing I'd like to point out is that we can have one angle that has multiple names. So this guy right here, if we believe that this is a 30-degree angle, then there could be other names for this guy. It turns out that if we go around 360 degrees in this direction, like such, we get to an angle that would be called 390 degrees. And that's exactly the same. And there's a special word for these two angles. They're called coterminal. There's something that's cool about coterminal angles, and it's this. If we wanted to figure out the cosine of 30 degrees, 30 cosine, we get 0.866 blah blah blah. If we do 390 and take the cosine, we also get 0.866 blah blah blah. So if we know the cosine of 30 degrees, we know the cosine of 390 and a bunch of other angles. If we keep adding 360, every one of those guys is going to be coterminal with 30 degrees. And it turns out we can go in the other direction as well. Instead of going in the positive direction and adding 360 degrees, we could go in the negative direction and subtract 360 degrees. And if we did that, that guy is also coterminal with 30. That guy would be called, I believe, negative 330 degrees, also coterminal with 30. Let's again use the calculator to verify that this is correct. So 30 degrees, I'll remind you, the cosine is 0.866. So if we take 330 degrees and make it negative, and then take the cosine, again we get 0.866. So that's pretty cool. Turns out we can do a similar sort of thing with any angle. There are multiple angles that are positive and negative associated with any angle, and they're all called coterminal. The same is true with radians. Let's take a quick look. If we believe this is the 30-degree angle, in radians, that should be pi over 6. Because again, we believe that pi radians is 180 degrees. So if we take 180 divided by 6, we should get 30. Now, one thing that we can do to figure out all the 30 degrees all the way around the unit circle in terms of radians is we just count. This is 1 pi over 6. This guy here must be 2 pi over 6. This guy here must be 3 pi over 6, also known as pi over 2. This is 4 pi over 6, 5 pi, 6 pi, 7 pi, 8 pi, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, 12 pi over 6. At 12 pi over 6, we have 2 pi. And if to go all the way around a circle, we go 2 pi. Now, this is where things get kind of interesting. If I keep going, I get to 13 pi over 6. So it turns out that 13 pi over 6 is coterminal with pi over 6. If I know the cosine of pi over 6, then I know the cosine of 13 pi over 6. And just like with degrees, this works backwards as well. So I just went forward around the circle. Let's go the other direction and see what happens. So let's say that we wanted to go this way around the circle. So we'll start here and we'll count. We'll count this is 0 and we'll go pi over 6, 1 pi, 2, 3, 4 pi over 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pi over 6 backwards. So that should equal negative 12 pi over 6. Let's check it out on the calculator and see if we get the same answer for all of these. Again, on the calculator, we need to convert to radians, and then we're going to try pi divided by 6, and when we do, we get this, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take the cosine. That gets us 0.866. Let's clear that out. Then we'll try 13 pi over 6. So we'll do 13 times pi divided by 6 equals. and then we'll go ahead and take the cosine of that, and sure enough, same thing, 0.866. Yay, we're on a streak. Let's try negative 12 pi over 6. So we do 12, make it negative, times pi divided by 6, and then we go equals, and let's go ahead and try cosine. Oops, I knew there was a little flaw in the logic. We need to double check and see what happened. Let's go ahead and recount going backwards. With this guy, what we're going to do is we're going to start at 1 pi over 6, and then we're going to go to 0 pi over 6, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7 pi over 6, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11 pi over 6. That's what we need to get the correct coterminal angle. So it'll actually be negative 11 pi over 6. And again, let's put that in the calculator and let's double check. So again, we got to be in radian mode. And then we go ahead and say 11 plus minus, we'll do times pi divided by 6 equals, and then take the cosine, and sure enough we get 0.866. And that's what we expected to get, because when we took pi and divided by 6 and took the cosine of that, that's what we got. Okay, so now we know how to find the coterminal angles of any radian just by counting around. Counting forward is a little bit easier than counting backwards, as we can see, but we can do it. And the cosine of any of these is the same, and the sine of any of these is the same, and the same is true for the degrees.